Welcome to my plot sites. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Catton, and I am the new entomologist hired by Agriculture Canada just this spring. So I am a pretty excited person these days, starting a new, long career. Lots of possibilities. And just to tell you a little bit about myself, since I'm probably a new face for most of you here, although I do know a few faces. I'm originally from Winnipeg. So I know I've already been catching some heat for that. Anyway, I did an undergraduate degree in agriculture at University of Manitoba, and then I followed that up with a master's degree actually in trees at University of Manitoba. Then I moved to BC to begin my PhD working on biological control of weeds, so using good guy insects to consume bad guy plants, right? Insects eating weeds. And my fieldwork for that project was based here out of Lethbridge. So I spent the past maybe 6 years between Lethbridge in the summer, Kelowna in the winter times. I know, a little bit of an upgrade from Winnipeg, right? And then just this year I got hired as a field crop entomologist here at Agriculture Canada. So the insects for me went from being the good guys, eating bad plants. Now I'm working with bad guy insects working on good plants that we want. So a lot of the concepts are the same, and I am learning right now the main crop pests and their life cycles. And one of the projects I'm going to be working on here, and I already am working on, is the Syria leaf beetle problem. Is anyone here familiar with Syria leaf beetle? Couple hands, very enthusiastic hands. Syria leaf beetle is a fairly new pest here to Alberta, and it will attack all cereal crops and also just grasses and ditches and things like that. It is a European insect that was brought to the US in the 60s by mistake, so in Michigan in the 60s, and then it's since spread through the southern US, become quite a major crop pest down there, and then it's been moving northward with our changing winters, first arriving here in Alberta in 2005. When that first happened, people were quite fearful that Syria leaf beetle might be quite a significant crop pest here in Alberta, and that hasn't materialized into the case just yet. And we think one of the reasons for that is the biological control wasp that was released to control Syria leaf beetle. So the biological control wasp is called T. julis, yes, and it came up north from the U.S. as well. And it's been quite an effective agent for Syria leaf beetle. So this is a larval parasitoid. So I want to tell you a little bit about the life cycle of Syria leaf beetle and the wasp, and then tell you what we're doing here with these, with these 42 cages behind us here. All right, I got too much to hold here, but this is an adult Syria leaf beetle here. They're beautiful, actually. They're kind of reflective blue and red in their adult stage. In their larval stage, they're not so pretty. I'll show you. But these adults will overwinter, emerge in the spring, start feeding on the foliage of winter wheat or any kind of green grass that's green early in the spring. Those adults will lay eggs on the wheat plants. These are a couple eggs here, very small, and then those eggs will hatch into little larvae here, and they'll start consuming the leaves as well. And as the larvae get bigger and bigger, they start looking like this. And that big bulgy thing on the back of the Syria leaf larva is a fecal coat. So they take their own feces, mix it with some mucus, and make a big backpack and carry that around. So, and that's to help them from stop drying out, right? Because it gets pretty dry out there. It's pretty windy here. And also, people think it might be for protection from predators too. It might repulse some predators away. So sometimes you'll be walking through your wheat field, and if you get dirty pants, and you look down, you see like feces all over your pants. That might be Syria leaf larva that's leaving that all over your clothing. Where the parasitoid wasp or the biocontrol wasp comes in is that they're very tiny, and they will find Syria leaf beetle larvae, and pump some eggs into these larvae. And then the baby wasps inside the larvae will start eating the larvae from the inside out. and eventually kill the larva, so preventing it from becoming an adult and completing its life cycle. So the biological control wasp has done a really good job, we think. We think that's the reason why Syria leaf beetle hasn't been a big problem here in southern Alberta. But we don't know for sure. So one of the things that we're doing this year, this is a project that was funded right before I came into this position, so I was very fortunate to have an experiment to begin right this spring. And behind us here are 42 1 by 1 by 1 meter square cages, and in this field of CDC Go wheat. And in those cages, we are manipulating the levels of Syria leaf beetles that are in there, and the levels of the biocontrol wasp, T. julis, and also levels of generalist predators, so spiders, lady beetles, because we want to know what is controlling Syria leaf beetle populations. Is it just the biocontrol wasp, or is it a lot of the generalist predators, like lady beetles, for example, or are none of those things that important, and maybe something else is regulating Syria leaf beetle, like our weather, for example. So we want to try to see if we can put a dollar amount on how much this biocontrol agent is saving yield. Same thing with generalist predators. So we're hoping that we can determine that. This is the first year of a 3-year project doing this, and it's a bit of a guessing game for us right now, because we are trying to figure out like how many Syria leaf beetles should we add, how many lady beetles, how many spiders should we add. So we're trying to work out the kinks this year, but we're hoping that we're going to get some data that can help people know that if you see a few Syria leaf beetles in your field and you spray them out, which you can do, that's an option, you're also going to kill the biocontrol wasps that are there at the same time. And then you're basically going to be killing your free pest control program, which is the T. julis wasp. So we haven't seen Syria leaf beetle densities that are high enough to warrant spraying, we think. So we're trying to explain why. Does anyone have any questions about Syria leaf beetle or any other? Yes?
What crop are you, is this entirely in here?
This is CDC Go wheat, so spring wheat. We're using this crop because previous research has used this same variety of wheat. And we know that it's susceptible to Syria leaf beetle. So we have a few props here we can pass around for you. These are a few plants that have some damage on them.
Maybe you can hold your mic and...
Yeah, I don't have enough hands here.
Welcome genetic manipulation, you can get those.
All right. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. So let's pass these around, but if you see long, skinny stripes of broken leaf here, that is Syria leaf beetle feeding. These leaves are getting a bit old now, but you can still see long cylindrical pieces missing out of the leaves. That's what Syria leaf beetle feeding looks like. Pass these around. We also have, ooh, sorry. If anybody wants to see what a Syria leaf beetle larvae look like, we have a plant here from inside. We keep a colony of these things going. If you want to come take a look, you can see them. They look just like little blobs. Oh, some of these don't have their fecal coat, which means they're just about getting ready to pupate. And then we also have things to look at here. In our cooler here, we have Syria leaf beetle larvae, we have lady beetles, just so you can get a look at some of these beneficial insects. And we have the T. julis wasp. I don't see that we have adults right now.
What's in this one? Yep, that's the wall.
No, we don't have adult Syria leaf beetles. Oh, is that if you see Syria leaf beetle in your fields and you want some T. julis, we can provide those free of cost if we have them in stock. So we do keep a colony going. Yes?
You said you guys added something. Is there anything that would possibly kill the pest but not the beneficial?
That's the wasp, the little T. julis biocontrol wasp.
You're talking chemical.
Are you talking chemical or?
Yeah, or anything, like even...
Well, it's pretty tough because a lot of the beneficials are beetles too, right? The pest is a beetle, and like ground beetles, for example, are beneficials. So it's...
Yeah, that's really tough.
So it's pretty tough, yeah. So we try to keep them in balance. That's what we're trying to learn here.
Any work on wheat curl?
Yeah.
A little bit. Rob Graff has been starting something on that. 'Cause that's what you're talking about with the Green Bridge, right?
I don't